Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Wars. It is June 3rd, 1996, and we are live with 2 hours of WCW Nitro from the Asheville Civic Center in Asheville, North Carolina. Raw and Nitro are both in North Carolina this week. This is WCW territory, so I feel like WCW saw Raw in the South and just said, "You coming through my area? I'm gonna have to bury ya," which is from Hit Them High, the Monstars anthem from Space Jam, the motion picture soundtrack, which is available where all music is sold.
Proud sponsor of the podcast.
Anyways, with me is Joseph Rojas. How are you, Joseph?
I'm great, man. I'm great. How
You
about
didn't
you?
expect that, did you?
No, but I've learned with you, expect the unexpected. Anything can
Ooh.
happen in the Monday Night Wars podcast.
It absolutely can. I can make references to the Space Jam soundtrack, which I own, by the way.
I believe it. You got
I
it. You've
own.
got it on cassette tape, on CD, on vinyl, on MP3.
Mhm.
You downloaded it illegally with what was it, Napster? Yeah, big fan.
I like how you said, "Was it Napster?" Like that was part of my life, bro. And you're just like, isn't that something you guys
I
did?
was too young. Like I couldn't do that. My brothers did. They did, but I was a little bit too young to be able to do that. I was aware of it.
Well, you know what I'm aware of?
Mean Gene interviewing Shark.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, something important happens here, Joseph. Well, first of all, Shark does what I said. He plays this off in a way that I like. He kind of makes the best of, which I think is kind of a lame thing to do to him, but I think he plays it off well. He makes the best of it. He says he's still got the one half cut of his hair. Shark has half of it still long, half it short. It's a reminder of the embarrassment he suffered and what he's gonna do to those guys. This is keeping him motivated. And more importantly, Joseph, he says he's tired of the dumb gimmick. He's tired of being Shark. He's going to be a man. He's not Avalanche. He's not Shark. He's a man. And his name is John Tenta. I know you liked that.
I did. I also love that he said, "I'm not a fish." I don't know why, but that line got me, made me laugh. It's just a really good way that he's turning this. I am pretty sure that he really did not enjoy this period of his life in WCW, at least from a professional standpoint.
How could he?
Yeah.
How could he?
Not just this, though, like a whole Dungeon of Doom, everything going up to this, right? It was really more of a means to an end, which was to take care of his family. He seemed to be a very good family man from what I've gathered. There's a really good Dark Side of the Ring episode on him. And honestly, it's not really that dark. He does die young, and it's unfortunate, but it's not like he was a horrible person. Everything I've seen and read about him is that he's just a really nice guy, and he could play the monster heel better than most and was fantastic. And so he's doing what he can with this, and I gave it a B. I thought it was really well done on his part. I love that he doesn't have the face paint. He comes out and his gear is very simple. It's just black and blue. That's it. It's just wrestling gear. It's the same style that he's been wearing, but it's none of the, Shark decals and stuff, or when he was Avalanche, those things. It's very to the point and kind of what this new character is. And this promo leads right into the next match, which is him versus Big Bubba.
We like John Tenta, and I really wish we could we'll have to discuss this about how we would have booked him better, because I like him. I think he's a good guy, but you're right. Up next is a John Tenta Big Bubba match. It's only 1:04, but John Tenta wins, Joseph. How does he do it?
He basically just chases off Big Bubba. He kind of threatens him with the scissors and stuff. Big Bubba gets freaked out, runs, gets counted out, and John Tenta wins. That part got to see. It's fine. It's very quick. And, it just kind of continues the storyline, and we'll see how that goes. But really, this is really kind of one segment from the promo to the match. And really the part that's important is the promo more so than the match. The match is just kind of continuing the rivalry.
I'm going to rate it higher. I actually liked this match, even though it's short. I liked that. I mean, it's just John Tenta's mad, right? That's kind of the gimmick now, that he's mad. He's tired of the gimmicks. He's tired of being Avalanche and Shark and all that kind of stuff. He just wants to be John Tenta, and he's mad at how they disrespected him, and frankly how WCW's been disrespecting him, and he just off on Big Bubba, like on offense, to the point where Big Bubba has to like roll out of the ring because he's just like shit. And then you're right, Tenta's got the scissors and says, "Why don't you come back here and I'll do you like you did me?" And Big Bill was like, "Hey man, I just work here." Bubba just doesn't want any of John Tenta. I actually really liked it.
Did you like it as much as our next match?
No, I did not. Because I'll tell you why. Because my boys are in it. The Faces of Fear versus High Voltage. High Voltage. I think they're another power plant product, right? Not
Correct.
terrible. We actually kind of like High Voltage. This is kind of the thing with a lot of the power plant guys, where we're kind of like maybe not great on the mic, but in ring ability, not bad.
They all have kind of the foundation, but they never really figure out the thing that makes them them. And really, unless I'm mistaken, there's only one power plant person who really ever does. And we're about a year or so away from them ever debuting.
Dun, 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 right?
That's really good. Can you do Goldberg's theme now?
What? That was Goldberg's theme. Excuse you. Anyway, tell me about this match. I'm tired of this bullshit.
I like it. It was fine. You got a C from me. There's nothing really to write home about. Faces of Fear win. They should win this match. High Voltage is just getting some screen time. It's kind of a squash match. It's pretty similar to what they did last week with the other gentleman that they had from the power plant. With this one though, Faces of Fear aren't going to really be pushed around like Brad Armstrong was last week. Brad Armstrong actually had kind of really more of an actual match. This is more Faces of Fear going to win this match, and they do. They handily defeat them, and they should. They absolutely should. So I liked that. I like Faces of Fear getting pushed. And again, this kind of tag team division in general, their worst tag team right now is essentially High Voltage. I mean, that's saying something positive. That really is, because High Voltage is decent. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, compared to WWF, that doesn't have a team division. They have two legitimate tag teams, right? In the Body Donnas and I've completely the Smoking Guns. I had completely forgotten. That's how much of a lasting impact they had left in my mind.
I guess the Godwins as well. I guess that kind of.
I guess, yeah, that's fair. Because I guess to me, I consider. I mean, yeah, they had Owen Hart and Yokozuna for a while, and they have Owen Hart and the Bulldog for a while, the British Bulldog. But I kind of consider a legitimate tag team, not just two singles competitors thrown together for the purposes of having a tag team. I consider a tag team. They wear similar clothes. They share interest music. They wear a similar outfit. They've got the same gimmick. They do tag team moves together, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I agree.
WWF has very few of those, and WCW's tag team roster is pretty deep, which is one of, I think, their strong points. And Eric Bischoff said, after a while, they kind of move away from tag teams. And Eric Bischoff has said it's just tag teams are incredibly expensive because you could be paying two guys and now you're paying four. It's just a pure economics kind of thing of why you don't see as many tag teams. But I like it. I love tag team competition. After that, though, Mean Gene. I didn't want to do it too high because my wife is still asleep. Interviews Sting and Flexi Lexi. But the Steiners, they interrupt. It gets a little wild. And Gene gets a little wild, Joseph. What'd you think of this?
I actually did not like this. I did not enjoy it. I gave it a D. I didn't enjoy it because it's very confusing. So Lex says that he just came down to support his friend. That's all he did. And I'm on board with this promo. And Sting points out that Lex did take a cheap shot on Scott Steiner. And that's the point that the Steiners are going to bring up if he says that to them. At which point the Steiners do interrupt and they say it was a cheap shot. So they just validated what Sting said. And then Sting says that he would have potentially done the same thing, which no, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have done that as
good guy Sting.
And then mayhem just kind of begins to ensue. And then all four men kind of like go away from each other. And then Mean Gene's just like, if you guys are ever like that again, I'm never interviewing you or something like that. And it kind of fell flat for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I honestly probably would have preferred it if it was let them have their moment, do a few segments, let the Steiners have their moment, do a few segments, and then maybe you have a blow off between all four men. That way they can really get to say what they want to say and they can all shine. No one really shined here, and that's what I didn't like about it the most.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You're right. It just kind of devolves into chaos at the end. And even Mean Gene kind of seems like the hell's going on. Like he kind of loses it. That's just an appetizer for the main course, Joseph. And the main course
I hate what you're doing here.
Why?
I know what you're doing. Go ahead.
The main course is up next, Joseph. And I know you love it. If Ultimate Warrior is your George Washington, Hulk Hogan has to be your Thomas Jefferson on that Mount Rushmore. We got another Hulk Hogan montage because don't you forget the man. Don't you forget him. So last week I said I think this must be the Hulkster calling an audible. You said you're not so sure about that. How is this not him calling Eric Bischoff and saying, "Hey brother, that don't work for me that I'm not on TV. Put me in a montage." Who else would do this?
Bischoff would do this. 100% Bischoff would do this. Just based off of what I know about Bischoff. I think this is just a misguided move. You have to realize also wrestling, especially wrestling on TV and the presentation of how things are done, they're really in the infancy, right? The logical move now, looking back at it, is don't show Hogan. And that way, when he shows up, it's a, oh my God, this guy is here moment. Nowadays, wrestling does that. Roman Reigns has been off TV in real time since WrestleMania XL. He's going to stay off TV. They're probably not going to do any sort of promo going up to it. They're not going to do any vignette, say, hey, Roman's coming back on this day. They're going to let it happen when it happens and take the audience by surprise. That's how you would do it now. But this is new territory at the time. I don't think this is a Hogan call. I really don't think it's a Hogan call. If it's deciding whether or not to lose, yeah, that's absolutely a Hogan thing. I don't think this is a Hogan thing. I think this is Bischoff thinking this is the best course and just being wrong about it.
I think that's a good comparison that you made, that Roman Reigns has been off TV since WrestleMania Stringer Bell because he and XL.
When Roman comes back, I want you to put the word out there. We up.
Yeah. You thought my Space Jam reference was stupid. Speaking of stupid, we gotta start. I'm not even gonna. You know what I am actually. I'm gonna do it. I can't help myself. We got another match, man. We got Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman, and we got one of your favorites. If Ultimate Warrior is your George Washington, and Hulk Hogan is your Thomas Jefferson, well then, my guy, Disco Inferno gotta be your Teddy Roosevelt. We got Craig Pitbull Pittman. We got Disco Inferno. We got a match. Tell me about it.
I gave it an F, and my only note is kill me now.
Two of your favorite guys going at it. I mean, we don't hate Craig Pitbull Pittman. I don't hate Disco Inferno. I know you dislike Disco Inferno. I think he's a good heel, although I don't know if he knows he's a heel yet, because he is annoying, right? Disco sucks. And I think that's the gimmick, and I don't hate it. It's just funny how, I mean, you didn't even say it, but Craig Pitbull Pittman beat Disco Inferno. He wins the match, and it's a minute 50. Gets him in a code red, Craig's finisher, and beats Disco Inferno.
He never gets good. I'm sorry, I gotta be real clear. Disco Inferno never gets good. If we get to a point where I go, wow, I really, really actually am liking Disco Inferno, anybody can call me out on this episode. I defended myself on an episode for way in the future on a match that's going to be similar to another match that I reviewed poorly. If this happens in the future and I go, wow, I really enjoyed Disco's character, you can absolutely go back to this episode and be like, you fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You went back on your word, blah, blah. Go
everybody,
for it.
Everybody get out your Monday Night Wars notebook, because I know you're all taking notes at home. Mark down June 3rd, 1996. We are going to follow this religiously. I will remember this, because any way I can get one on Joseph is like tattooed into my brain. So we'll be very excited about that. But what I'm even more excited about is our main event. Because, yeah, sure, there's like 6 more matches, but we have arrived at our main event. It is Lord Steven Regal versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan in one of the greatest matches of all time. People, like Joseph will talk about, oh man, WrestleMania, whatever. I don't even know what it is. 3 with Jimmy and Macho.
It's Macho and Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, right? One of the greatest matches of all time. Great. That's great. That's fine. June 3rd, 1996, Lord Steven Regal, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is up there, bro. This match, 421. Tell me about it, Joseph. I want you to start, because then I'm going to weave you a tale. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick with this, because you've hyped this up. This is your thing to talk about. These two men have insane chemistry. On top of that, their characters are literal polar opposites of each other, and that makes for perfect bedfellows. You could put them in a feud for the WCW TV title, and it would be money. It would be so good. Or the US championship, now that I think about it. Everything Hacksaw does, Regal reacts to perfectly, like when Hacksaw starts stomping the mat to get the USA chance, and Regal is snapping his head up and down with each stomp. So good. On the opposite end, Hacksaw reversing the Irish whip and shouting, "Oh!" along with it is so, so good. It's fantastic. I'm not going to get into the post-match stuff. I'm gonna let you shoot your shot.
Now, I think people might think I'm joking about how hyped I am for this, but I am legitimately serious that this might be one of my favorite matches of all time. Because, like you said, the chemistry is off the charts. These guys are a perfect pairing. They're like mirror images of each other. You know, Hacksaw is the all-American guy. Siegel is the British aristocrat douche. And oh my God, I can't even, it, I'm at a loss for words at how much I enjoy this match. You've pretty much said it though. The chemistry of just them playing off one another. It is in-ring storytelling at its finest. I think you would agree with me. Go back and watch this match. It
Yeah,
is
it's
a
it
hell of a lot of fun.
I gave this an A and kind of broke my own rules, right? There's no storyline between these two men, but it is so well done in the ring. The storyline is essentially in the ring. There is a storyline with Steven Regal that gets played up a little bit after this match, but it is so well done. These two, if you want to talk about people being characters and portraying those characters in a ring and being able to bounce off of an opponent and utilize their character to help accentuate your own, this is a masterclass of it. It really is. It's we're not saying it's a technical showcase. It's not. This is a character showcase. This is two men. Absolutely. I kind of wish this went longer, to be honest. If this was like a 15-minute barn burner, I would have been so happy with that. It got an A for me. I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think you were 100% right when you said these two needed to have a rivalry for the U.S. title. And good that would have been. Steven Regal would have won the title. Everyone would hate him because he's a British asshole and doesn't like America, right? And then Jim Duggan comes in to take him for a run for his money to get the title. I also would have loved to see these guys paired in the Lethal Lottery. Oh, could
That'd
you
be fun.
imagine? Could you imagine?
That's how the rivalry should have started, is the Lethal Lottery. And then hear me out. I'm just gonna rebook real quick. This is gonna take some time away, but there's plenty of
Please rebook
stupid
it.
matches we can just ignore. So they go in the Lethal Lottery, they're paired together. They have their shenanigans, very similar to what Hacksaw did with VK Wall Street. But then Steven Regal not only wins the US title, which he absolutely should, but he wins the US title and rebrands it the UK Championship.
Oh,
And they have the exact same title, but instead it's got, the British flag on it. It's not the American flag. And they make that the championship. And now he is the same upper class snob, but he gets to every week just talk insane smack to the American audiences, and they will boo him heavily, and he gets to have so much fun. And then finally, we need an American hero to take back our title, and that's when you bring in Hacksaw again.
bro, I'm booting up WWE 2K24 right now. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. No, we got to stop because we're taking up too much time on this June 3rd, 1996 regular match. But I'm serious. Go back, watch this one. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna laugh. Should be like in wrestling schools. I'm serious. In wrestling schools, they should show this match. It's got the chemistry. It's got the back and forth. It's great. You watch it, you're gonna have a good time. I guarantee you. If you don't have a good time, send us a letter and we'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Just kidding. This does not count for Patreon subscribers. Do not write us letters, Patreon subscribers. Anyways, you mentioned the Aftermath. So Aftermath, Gene is talking with Steven Regal in the ring. And apparently he slapped Sting during the contract signing. And he paid the fine, but he paid double. So now he says WCW owes him. And the way they're going to pay it back is he wants Sting at the Great American Bash. I loved it. What'd you think?
I thought it was fantastic. I really did. I thought it was really well done. I'm not going to go too far into it because you kind of said exactly what he says, but they show the moment when he did the slap and he connected. I mean, it is loud. It's so good. And like you said, he said basically he's got credit on it now. So he can do it again because he's paid double. It's so good. Saying how he wants angry Sting and he wants Sting at his absolute best. I loved it. I thought it was great work from Regal.
And then after that, we've got, well, we had a Brian Pillman Kevin Sullivan feud, and that's gone because Brian Pillman's gone. So now Kevin Sullivan needs a new feud, and now it's Chris Benoit versus Kevin Sullivan. Benoit tells Arn, don't trust the guy. The Four Horsemen been having some issues. You know, the Dungeon and the Horsemen have kind of ended up to end Hulkamania, which it seems like they've succeeded in because he's gone, but we're still doing it. And Benoit just says, I don't trust these guys. What did you think about this?
This kind of goes into the match, so I kind of lumped these together. I'll go into this one real quick. I thought the recap was really well done. It actually made me interested in this feud. I thought they did a really good job of saying on this date this happened, on this date this happened, and they pieced it together to let you know, yes, some of these happen on Saturdays. If you're only watching on Monday, you haven't seen this, but here's what's been going on. I thought that was really well done, frankly.
Well, let's get straight into the match because you said they kind of tie together. Kevin Sullivan versus Prince Iaukea, another power plant prospect. Kevin Sullivan wins, though. $122. What'd you make of this one, Joseph?
So Prince Iaukea, like you said, this is his Nitro debut. He will actually be a pretty decent name in the Cruiserweight division over the next year or so. So he actually gets some real screen time. I don't really know whatever happened to him, so we'll get there when we get there. Kevin Sullivan should win this match. He does win this match. Overall, it got a C from me for the match. Then they have a post-match segment where they go kind of into this. And this is where everything falls off. I really enjoyed the preview to this. I thought the match was fine, but this is really what gives it a C and kind of lowers the grade because I probably would have kept this in the B range. But all of a sudden, Mean Gene goes to interview Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan, and Jimmy questions why they're wasting time on Benoit when they have the WCW title in the Dungeon of Doom. And I actually thought this was really well done. I was like, cool, that's an interesting point. So I'm ready to listen to what the Taskmaster has to say. And what he says is instead of talking about how this has anything to do with Benoit and why he's feuding with Benoit, instead of saying anything about that, this is what he says. Hogan may come back and they have to be prepared for him instead. What? And then he calls Benoit a serpent, and that if he gets rid of Benoit, that will lead to getting rid of Hogan. Fucking what? It made no sense. It was like you actually had an interesting storyline here and you just threw it in the garbage. And then again, tried to put yourself up against Hogan. Like, bro, you're not a main eventer. Stop trying that.
I think Jimmy might have been shooting.
He might have been, yeah.
Might have been like, what is this? What is this? Why are we doing this? Why does this rivalry make sense? Because obviously in real life, these two have a rivalry because Kevin Sullivan is married to the woman and Kevin Sullivan is allegedly, although I don't think it's allegedly, abusive. And the woman becomes entangled with Chris Benoit and she leaves Kevin Sullivan, and that turns a backstage rivalry into, a professional rivalry. And I think that's a good angle, right? Like you could say,
they haven't even gotten to that yet.
They haven't
even
I mean, that's how you solve this, right? You're like, well,
right.
We're not, because it's personal. That's why we're doing it. Like strategically, you're right, Jimmy Hart, but this is personal. Yeah. But they don't even have that. It just doesn't make sense at all. That becomes the angle, but it's not the angle right now. We needed someone to plug and play to replace Brian Pillman. You're right. It doesn't make sense.
Hold on real quick. It doesn't make sense. And also it's very clear that you are the booker and you're trying to establish your power here by keeping your name in the Hogan lineup, which it's like, this is the reason why, again, people who are in-ring talent should not be booking shows. Indie shows, fine. I got no problem with that. I'm talking about live television for a promotion. That shouldn't be happening.
The weird thing is we actually kind of like Kevin Sullivan's in-ring talent, right? Like we like Correct. When he's just the bruiser brawler type guy. It's just this. He needs to know his lane, and he does know his lane. Like, he wears the Hogan colors. He's like a mini Hulk Hogan. It's just like, bro, just be your own thing, man. Just stay in your lane. Know that you're a mid-carder. It perfectly fine to be a mid-carder. There are mid-carders you and I absolutely love. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Lord Steven Regal. And it's fine, right? It's fine being a mid-carder. There's nothing wrong with being a mid-carder. Kevin Sullivan seems to disagree, though. Leave it alone, Kevin. We got Ric Flair. We got Arn Anderson. And they're continuing their campaign of just absolutely rolling tag teams. This one, honestly, the Rock and Roll Express. Give these dudes a run for their money. 18 minutes, 59 seconds, Joseph. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to this match last week, right? That they're doing this thing of them going against established tag teams to show how good they are. And this one is so cool. Rock and Roll Express are Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton. They are one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history. They've wrestled everywhere at this point. Jim Crockett Promotions, AWA, WWF, WCW, USWA, etc. They have been and done it all. Won plenty of championships along their way, and they are direct influences to tag teams like the Rockers, aka Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Hardy Boys, Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and eventually, yes, the Young Bucks. This is an important tag team. They're still in kind of their prime here, right? This is an important tag team. A lot of history behind them. This is a huge move for WCW because having Flair and Arn go over them, which they will, legitimizes them as a tag team. It says they can beat the best of the best. It's a very solid move by WCW, who's trying to bring importance to this kind of Four Horsemen versus Mongo and Kevin Green match. Speaking of Mongo and Kevin Green, Ric Flair is wearing a Kevin Green Panthers jersey, and Arn is wearing a Mongo Bears jersey, which is just a great heel move. Also, the Mongo jersey is so tight on him that the Flairum have to help him pull it off, and it's really funny. And we have a countdown to hour number 2. They have a countdown. They're letting you know in a minute it's going to happen. And when it does, fireworks explode and they scare the shit out of Arn Anderson, which will become a recurring theme. And I love it. It makes me laugh every time. It's not really part of the match, but it's fun. Arn and Flair not only match each other, but they also are matching the Rock and Roll Express in their ring gears, which I think is a really nice touch. Apparently, Bobby the Brain Heenan came to Nitro with a briefcase, and he says he'll talk about it when the time is right. This is going on in commentary. The Rock and Roll Express have a moment where they put both horsemen in figure fours. It makes Flair irate when they get out of it, which is just so well done by all four men. It's a great match. It's a great balance of styles. We almost see Flair's limousine for a second, which is hilarious. And then Bobby Heenan goes to talk to Woman and Elizabeth mid-match. And then right after that, Woman rakes Gibson's eyes and Arn hits a DDT and Flair gets the pin. This then leads into the post-match promo where Mean Gene interviews Arn and Flair, as well as Bobby the Brain Heenan. Arn says he's too thick to be a football player. I'm not even going to say what Flair says. He got mad at me last time, but it eventually goes to Bobby, and they're asking, is Bobby going to manage this tag team? And Bobby says, I've been there. I've done that. I said a long time ago, I'm no longer managing. It's not going to happen. Sorry, gentlemen. And they're really upset. But then he says, you know what I will do though, is I will coach you. It's great. The whole thing is great. The storyline, no, is not between these two tag teams. It's about what's going on around the Four Horsemen. It got an A from me. I loved every moment of this segment.
Rick and Arn, they're bigger, they're faster, and they go all night long, Joseph. But yeah, you're right. It was a fantastic promo, but I really don't want to talk about this one so much. And you said everything that needs to be said. I want to talk about the next thing.
Really?
Because I think it's very important.
Okay.
More Hogan clips. How'd you feel about
it? I'm moving on.
You don't want to talk about more Hogan hype? He's still around in case you forgot.
We got to cut time somewhere. This is where I'm doing it.
Okay. All right. Then we'll go. We'll keep going. We got the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, the Giant versus Ice Train. Joseph, I don't like what they're doing to my boy Ice Train. You thought that's what I wanted to talk about, and you were wrong. So it was Hogan clips.
It literally is. Ice Train gets distracted for a second, gets chokeslammed, and then that's it. Scott Norton does come in to kind of help out Ice Train after the match, and then the Giant dismantles him, and Mean Gene interviews the Giant, who questions why so many vignettes on Hogan when Giant is the one who's champion and has taken out Hogan and basically everybody else. And I actually thought from Giant, that was really good. It was a really clever idea, right? Why do you guys keep bringing up Hogan? I'm your champion. This may have been his most coherent promo to this point.
Yeah, I liked this. I kind of wish we did more with it. I don't really think we do. Like, I would love it if Giant just like went back to like the production booth and just like started like crashing the place if they showed more Hogan tapes. Like, that would be fun.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just choke slams the guy. Who's the guy that puts the Hogan tape in? Choke slam. You know, I think that'd be great. Yeah, he mentioned that he's destroyed everybody. He's destroyed Hogan, Savage, Sting, Flair, and now Lex is next. After that, because they can't put Ice Train and Scott Norton together like we need and want. They got them both in singles competitions back to back. Now we got Scott Norton versus Hugh Morris. Minute 51. But Scott Norton wins this one, Joseph. It's not a completely down night for Fire and Ice. What'd you make of it?
I still gave it an F. Morris takes advantage of the injured Norton, and then Scott Norton somehow wins regardless of that. Like, Scott Norton's knocked out on the ground, and Morris just keeps wailing on him, and then decides to go up to the top rope, and then Scott Norton somehow gets up and then beats him, and it's real quick. It doesn't make any sense. I don't think it helps Scott Norton really. I think maybe to show how resilient he is, but you just essentially said that this guy is like, he needs to be stretchered out, and then all of a sudden he's Superman. It made no real sense to me. I didn't like it. As much as I want Fire and Ice to go over in their matches, I just didn't like how they did it for them on this one.
Scott Norton is WWE's Undertaker. I guess. I mean, that's kind of what he did, right? But then we get another Mongo and Kevin Green training montage at the WCW power plant. And I love it, Joseph. Kevin Green eating a Slim Jim. And that gives Mongo an idea. Bobby's going to train Arn and Ric Flair. Maybe these two can get the Macho Man Randy Savage to train them. And I'm all for it. Because Kevin Green nutty and him and Macho Man is going to be chef's kiss. What'd you think about this?
Yeah, I gave it a B. It's a decent vignette. It's a vignette that actually tells a story, not a vignette that just tells you this guy, you remember this guy. I liked it. I thought it was really well done. There's a moment where Kevin Green, he's actually like, his natural charisma just shows all over this, and he's drawing up the plays, and I think he makes them X's, and then Flair and Anderson, he makes them O's because they're zeros. That's all they are. And he goes into that, and he's like drawing this play in a ring that is drawn on a whiteboard, and it makes no sense, but he fucking believes it, and that's what's important. And Mongo's like, no, you're going crazy, and then Mongo tries to draw a play, and then to your point, they realize they don't really know what they're doing, and they see the Slim Jim, and they go, oh, this is the idea. I thought it was good. I think it does a really good job of not only incorporating their rivalry, but we have this rivalry that has not died yet with Macho and Ric Flair, and that finds a way to cleverly incorporate that into it and kind of push everybody. And you just kind of look at this, and you look at WWF, and you go, you guys know that you have Goldust in a rivalry with 17 people right now, right? And this is how you do it. This is how you make multiple rivalries coexist.
I like me some Kevin Green, and I'm going to like me some Kevin Green and Macho Man. I know it. I can feel it. This is getting me excited for this match. That's what you're supposed to do. So it's a great job. Now we're on to our actual main event, although Lord Steven Regal Tax out Jim Duggan was the main event. Let's just be clear. We're on to the main event that Eric Bischoff booked. You know, whatever. Tag Team Championship match. Sting, Lex Luger versus Rick and Scott Steiner. Because we got a rivalry going here. We got to finish it. What'd you think of this one?
Well, first off, during the match, there is a phone call from the Macho Man, or as Scott Hall says, the Nacho Man. He calls in, and Bischoff is ecstatic to hear from the Macho Man and ready to listen to him. And we get that perfect 90s cheese phone call-in stuff. And Heenan is pleading with Savage to stay away, pleading with him to do it. And Macho points out that he is not allowed to wrestle. He's not allowed to compete. He's not allowed to do any of those things. But, and we get one of those, he can still coach. So he's accepted it. And he is going to be there for Kevin Green and Mongo McMichael. And it's really fun. And Bobby is so upset and like begging Bischoff to call him back. And Bischoff's like, I don't have his number. No, I'm not doing that. And it's hilarious. That's a really fun segment in this match. But overall, this match itself is really fun. It's all four men really trying their hardest to win. One team makes a big shot and the other one comes right back. And I love that. Eventually, Giant comes out for some reason and hits the worst choke slam I've ever seen him do on Rick Steiner outside of the ring. And then in that moment, the remaining three men actually all decide that they're going to gang up on the Giant, and it kind of unites them, which is, I guess, okay. But again, weren't you guys rivals? Who's the rivalry with? Now it's with the Giant. What's going on? That part is really confusing. There's no real winner. I think they throw out this match unless you have a distinct winner on this. It got a B for me, but the ending of it was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it just kind of turns into a mess, right? I don't know why, but apparently we're joining forces to fight the Giant. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really feels like they don't know what to do with the Giant. They really don't know how to push it. Probably because the person who's booking things keeps pushing himself instead of the fucking champion.
Damn.
I mean, I'm
Damn.
just being honest.
My guy is shooting. Well, let's end it on a high note, though, homie. Let's end on a high note because the night is over.
I'm not your homie, but I will be your Chico.
Because Scott Hall makes another appearance. And again, he's talking about how Eric Bischoff thought he could start a war. Well, he's going to get a war, and we are going to finish it. And Bischoff just keeps saying, who is this we were talking about? And then Sting comes out, and Sting says, you know what? Where are these three guys? Where are these two other guys you keep talking about? You keep coming out here. You keep talking about we. You keep talking about three of our best guys versus you and two other guys. Who are your two other guys? Why don't we just go right here, right now? Scott Hall says nobody tells him what to do and when to do it. Chico. Sting slaps him. Oh my goodness. What did you think about this?
In Sting's defense, Hall does flick his toothpick at Sting first, and then Sting slaps him. It was great. It was an A. It was so well done. There's not much more to go into than what you just said. Great job by all three men. And again, it just builds for this prize that Hall says he has next week. And you get excited, right? You don't know what's going to happen. It's really good. I gave the overall show a C plus. Its highs are really high, but its lows are very, very low. And I thought this at least makes me want to tune in the next week.
You gave this night a C?
C plus.
C plus?
Yeah.
Man. Well, let me just tell you, you can't spell Hacksaw Jim Duggan without an A.
Also without a C.
You can't spell Jim Duggan without an A. Man, I just got to say, I'm so excited for what WCW's got in store for us next week. Aren't you excited?
I don't remember what's on there, but I know one thing that's happening for sure.
I mean, I'm excited for this big surprise that Scott Hall's got. Let's talk about. Oh wait, we can't because we got to go to Raw now. June 3rd, 1996, Cumberland County Memorial Auditorium in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We start with Goldust. He's got the Intercontinental Championship that he's holding kind of provocatively, and he tells Ahmed Johnson, "Come and get it." And then he blows Ahmed a kiss, because if you're last week, he gave Ahmed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Saved the man's life. But apparently Ahmed don't like it. You got any thoughts about this opening, or should we go straight into our opening contest?
They're going to go further with this later, so let's go into the opening contest.
Okay. Opening contest is Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to his friends, versus Bob Holly. This is a King of the Ring qualifying match. Joseph, tell me about it.
I gave it a B. I really enjoyed it. It's both men do a really good job. Jerry Lawler clearly loved the film Twister because he references it again. This is like the fourth time in the last month that he's done that. And I'm going to be real clear here. That's not a good movie. It's a fun opener, though. Both men are very good in the ring. Unfortunately, as a viewer, there's really no reason to care about Bob Holly in this stage of his career. The King of the Ring tournament this year has quite a few duds because the roster is still so weak. Yes, you've got some really great people like Steve Austin, but they haven't figured out that Steve Austin is the guy yet. They're building along there. And you have, Henry O'Godwin is in the tournament, and Bob Holly's in the tournament, and you've got a few other people like that where it's like, should they be in this spot? Should they be in this supposedly prestigious tournament? I don't really know. This is a weird line. Jerry Lawler says Bob Holly will mount an offense as soon as the ozone layer gets mended here around the Earth's atmosphere. Okay. Anyways, Austin wins with the $1 Million Dream, which is kind of weird because he's using that move still when Ted DiBiase isn't there anymore. Overall, fun match, weird commentary.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we close the hole in the ozone layer? Didn't we finally do that? So Bob Holly got some offense in at some point there. I think that happened. Yeah, I mean, Stone Cold, like you said, Stone Cold, Bob Holly, great wrestlers. Match was good. Austin got the million. It's funny though. Austin's still doing like the $1 Million Dream, and Ted's gone. It's time for him to make his own man. It's time for him to shatter some glass.
I don't get it.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, after that, we're shown last week how Jerry the King Lawler cost the Ultimate Warrior his chance to go to the King of the Ring. As a result, Vince says that Jerry and the Ultimate Warrior are going to wrestle at King of the Ring. And Jerry's drawing a little cartoon of how it's going to go. And he wins. What'd you think about this? I will say, whatever you say about Jerry, if this is really his drawing, he's actually he's a good artist.
Yeah, I agree. He's good. Look, Jerry does some very positive things. He's good in the ring. He's a good artist. He's just not a great person.
Damn, dude just came out and said it. We're going backstage to Jim Ross, who's talking about the Undertaker Mankind King of the Ring match, which we're excited about because these guys do great matches, and they do great matches from the start. This is going to be a good match. And then again, they show the reason why we're having this match is because Mankind caused Taker to lose the casket match against Goldust, locked him in, even though the casket lid came off. Taker could have easily gotten out. Doesn't matter. The point of it is Mankind caused a match, and now we got to have a match. Wouldn't it be funny, Joseph, if it was another casket match?
We'll get there.
We will. We will. Anything you want to say about this?
We're excited for this rivalry, right? So the quicker we get to it, the better we're off we are.
Yeah, well, and this bleeds into the next event, the next match, because we've got Mankind versus Barry Horowitz. And Joseph, I don't know how this one's going to go. Can you tell me who wins this one versus Mankind and Barry Horowitz?
I think Barry Horowitz mounts an offense as soon as the ozone layer is fixed.
So not tonight is what you're saying. Not tonight. All right, well, let's move on, because after that, we got some highlight reels from In Your House, where we talk about Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog, how they got this double pin situation where they both won, so they both didn't win. Apparently, they're both going to go at it again at King of the Ring. After that, we've got more of, we showing the Goldust Johnson thing, where Ahmed Johnson got the beating of his life. I think it's the first match he's actually lost. Stretchered to the back. Good guy Goldust gives him mouth resuscitation, brings the man back from the brink of death. And Ahmed Johnson is not okay with it. He's very mad. He wants payback. And then we go to Goldust.
Yeah.
Who's licking some dark chocolate. And he takes a bite out of it and says that Ahmed Johnson will melt in his hands instead of his mouth at King of the Ring. Joseph, what do you think about this?
I gave this a D. So here's why. I don't mind the dark chocolate reference if that was it. But it's the whole thing is racial, and it's really weird. And he starts by quoting The Color Purple, which I was like, man, 28 years after that came out, that's pretty cringy. And I thought, okay, maybe that'll just be it. But then he does I have a taste for chocolate, which is like, ooh, oh, this is where this is going. And then he refers to Ahmed Johnson as the Mighty Mandingo. Yikes. It's not good. He gave it his effort. I don't mind the sexualness. I don't mind him being, naked there with the title covering him. That's all fine. I'm all about that. But I think this is one of those ones that, in retrospect, Dustin may want to take back. It's not, again, it is 96. We're looking at it through today's lens, but it is not good.
You said he was quoting The Color Purple, though. What he should have been quoting? Pulp Fiction.
I knew you were going to say that.
Should have been. Should have been. We could have fixed Ahmed. We could have fixed Ahmed. Anyways, after that, we got the Godwins. It's not a great night for WWF, in my opinion. Up next, we got the Godwins versus Techno Team 2000, Joseph. Tell me how the Godwins versus Techno Team 2000 goes.
Yeah, the Godwins win. Got a D. Sunny's on commentary. She does say, it's obvious I go where the gold is, babe. That's her line. I thought that was a good line. Again, we've talked about how that should be her character. They kind of don't do that. And then Skip and Zip announce they're looking for a new man. Oh, God, I forgot about this. Man, it's going to get rough. It's going to get real rough when you find out who their new manager is. But you know what? I'm going to cheer you up here, Scott. Because
did you really not remember that? That seemed like a genuine, you were going your notes and you saw that. Like that was a genuine response to seeing that in your notes.
Yeah, I forgot, man. It's bad. It gets real bad. But I've got something to cheer us both up, Scott. We have a new game that I'd like to introduce today. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to call this one Jerry or Sunny.
Okay.
So Jerry or Sunny, Sunny or Jerry, which one could it be? Here's the first quote. And it's abrupt. That ain't the dinner bell you hear. It's the ringing in the Godwin's ears. Here's a second quote. There's nothing in that head. It's not going to make a bit of difference after Phineas gets his head slammed into the turnbuckle. Which one is Jerry and which one is Sunny?
Well, this is a tough one, man. You gave me a real doozy here. I'm gonna say the first one is Jerry and the second one is Sunny.
Scott Kaufman?
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct.
Okay.
Let's tell him what he's won. It's Lens Crafter's coupon.
Oh, okay. Brought to you by promo code. Yeah, no. Well, there you go. You know, I do need to get a new pair of glasses because I have apparently a very mild stigmatism. So apparently I do need a new prescription. So thanks. I really appreciate this gift card to Lens Crafters that you just gave me through the computer. It came out of my CD drive. That's weird how that happened. Anyways, after that, well, I should mention I have a note in here where the Godwins dance with a kid. Do you remember this? Do you have that in your notes?
I don't remember that at all.
It happens. I don't know. Anyways, and then we're shown some in your house footage where Clarence Mason claims that Gorilla Monsoon put his hands on him or touched him or something. Gorilla Monsoon really just kind of puts his hand on his back, but Mason's saying that that's aggravated assault. They're just milking this lawyer stuff. Do you have anything on this? It doesn't really. I feel like it doesn't really go anywhere. But do you want to say anything about it?
No, I'm good, man.
Man, we're rolling. What? To the main event. And this is another King of the Ring qualifying match. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And if you can listen to the podcast, you know exactly how this match is going to go. Joseph, who wins this one?
Yeah, Jake the Snake wins. This is the specific King of the Ring tournament that Hunter was supposed to win. And obviously, because of the curtain call, he will not. At some point, Vince says he, meaning the Ultimate Warrior, has revolutionized the comic book industry. This may actually be true. Before this, we probably had a much higher floor for comic book sales. Jake wins with the DDT. Jake wins with the DDT right when we come back from commercial, and that's it.
Yeah, you know, it is funny, though. You mentioned that this was the King of the Ring that Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, was supposed to win. And obviously he doesn't because he's in the doghouse because of the curtain call. How different things might have been.
I know that he said it something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the exact quote, but Hunter has said basically it was probably for the best because he doesn't think he would have done what Steve Austin did with it.
Well, don't give us spoilers, man. Don't give them spoilers. They got to pay us $2 to find King of the Ring.
That's true. That's true.
Well, anyway, Stone Cold Steve Austin wins King of the Ring. You just heard it. But anyways, it's a great one. So I do recommend that you give that one a listen because it's, I mean, not all the matches are great, but I think it's story-wise, it's one of the better King of the Rings for that.
Yeah.
For the ending. It's kind of another one of those moments that kind of changes wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. But that's the end. That's it. That's the end of the show. Who won? Who lost?
I gave this a C-, which means by proxy, WCW won.
Because you gave them a C+?
Correct.
Well, you know where I stand on this. You know I've given it a Jim Duggan A. So WCW wins the night. What did the fans think? Did the fans agree with us, or are they just wrong?
It was another 2.3 from the fans.
And it was a 2.8 for WCW Nitro. So they went down a little bit. But they still won. And the fans, Joseph, tonight are correct.
Finally.
They were right last week, too. But and they'll be right for like 83 weeks. But, whatever. Anyways, that does it for us. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. I'm Scott. With me is Joseph. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, guys. Hey, everybody, it's Joseph. And guess what? Not only can you listen to us every Monday on Spotify, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Podcasts as well. Just search for Monday Night Wars Podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at MON Night Wars Pod, on Instagram at Monday Night Wars Podcast, or just email us at mnwpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, subscribe to our Patreon at Monday Night Wars Podcast. For $2 a month, you get every pay-per-view from WCW and WWF during this era, as well as additional content later on. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you here next time on the Monday Night Wars Podcast.